Welcome to the Happy Hour with Dr. Elia. So excited to come to you once again. A show that talks about happiness, talks about wellness, and really interviews amazing guests like the one we have today, Jana Short, who inspire and empower others to live their best lives. Jana, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Elia. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to see you again. And just a couple of words about this. Dynamic is an understatement of a lady. Powerful energy, understatement again. I've had the pleasure to be interviewed by Jana and actually be on her magazine, the Best Holistic Life magazine, 1.5 global subscribers. Jana is a power and a force to be reckoned with. Woman of the Year in Los Angeles for 2023, many accolades, many awards. But really, let's hear from the lady herself. Jana, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your story.
Wow. I would love to share a little bit about my story because I think our stories are extremely powerful, especially when we embrace them, right? And the journey it's taken us on. But mine started 12 years ago for this part of my life. And I was an interior designer. That's what I went to school for. That's what I did here in Los Angeles. And, I
I
thought I
didn't know that. Oh my gosh, I didn't
didn't
know
know
that. That
that.
was oh wow. Okay.
Yes, I did large events. I did celebrity homes. I was pretty busy here in LA, but I had a little surgery. I went to have a little teeny surgery, and everything went wrong. During that little surgery, they damaged my vagus nerve, which nobody told me. I don't even know, maybe they weren't aware that they had severed my vagus nerve. But about a few months later, everything I ate felt like I was eating poison. And my stomach started to look like I was pregnant, and people were coming up and congratulating us on our new baby. And I thanked them very much for, first of all, thinking that I could still be having babies. I was in my 50s at the time. But I'm like, I'm not pregnant. And I did have a lot of pain in my stomach. And it turned out that that's how I found out that my vagus nerve had been damaged. I had something called gastroparesis, and my stomach just didn't empty. So we decided, after having a few, specialists give me some information, that we would do a radical gastrectomy. So my stomach was removed,
Wow.
and that's when my life changed. It changed really horrifically and really beautifully, just right into exactly where I needed to be. But what happened is the surgery that I had completely dehisced, meaning it opened up and poisons and toxins were flowing into my body, and I became septic. I got pancreatitis. Like, I was so ill and in the hospital for 8 weeks. The worst part was they were feeding me TPN, which is a synthetic thing you get in IV. It feeds the body and gives it the nutrients it needs. People who maybe are in comas, things like that, will be receiving this to help their bodies, do what they need to do to heal. But it was synthetic and my body didn't like it. So it started shutting down my organs. And that was the only way I could get nutrients. So my hair started falling out. I was so weak. And after about 8 weeks in the hospital, they told me there was nothing more they could do. And they said, you can stay here, we'll make you comfortable, or we can send you home and make you comfortable there. But I'm like, what do you mean make me comfortable? I
Right.
could not wrap my head around it, that what's happening. So I wanted out of the hospital. I feel like all this stuff started there. If I could just get home, maybe I could get back on top of things. And here's a part where the miracles start to happen.
I
I
mean,
had
you
a
are a
brand new.
walking miracle. I mean, it's true. You're a miraculous lady in your recovery. And I want to tell the audience a phrase that Jana just used that I often hear, and it's nothing against the medical community, but when you hear there's nothing else we can do, that's not the end. There's a lot more that you can do in taking ownership of your healing and your health. So go ahead, Jana. And I'm sure you did that as well.
I did. Here it's the thing. I have a lot of medical background in my family. My two daughters at the time were in med school. My husband, he's a veterinarian, so he knows a little bit about medicine for humans, not much, but enough to like help me maneuver my path. And my ex was an internist. So I was able to like really get some great advice and support, but they also said there's nothing they could do. And one of the things my daughters told me, which blew me away, but I absolutely understand, is in medical school, they only got a semester of nutrition. And that's it. And all that semester went around was how drugs interact with foods we eat, right? Like what foods you have to stay away from when you're on certain drugs because they cause certain reactions. And it really wasn't how food supports our bodies, right? And how it's like the main source of getting our bodies the fuel it needs every day. And it shocked me. Those two daughters, by the way, are doctors of natural medicine now. And they went on to get PhDs understanding more about herbs and nutrition. So I'm super proud of them. And I don't think that shift would have happened had all of that had not happened for me. Having said that, at this point, I came home to survive, right, for as long as I could.
Of course.
And the miracle stepped in, and I had a beautiful grandson, a brand new one that was born maybe 3 weeks before I had the first surgery. So he was about 3, 4 months by this point, and I hadn't seen him since he was born. So my daughter brought him to me. And I remember the thought came into my head, how will he remember me? He's not going to have one memory at this young age. And I still remember how my grandmother smelled when I hugged her and like how warm it was to feel her, giving me those big Nana hugs.
Of
And
course.
I wanted to make that one memory with him. So I didn't think I was going to live because nobody told me that that was possible. But I went on this venture out into the world to look for things to help me live long enough to create a memory. How do I create this memory, right? I got to be here first. So I got on my laptop in bed because I was too weak to stand up. And I typed in the words, desperate for health answers, looking for holistic options. And I started putting in some of my, things that were going on, gastroparesis, TPN, shutting it down organs, things like that. And here's what happened, Dr. Elia. It was like amazing and terrifying. The whole world opened up. I was able, with just typing a few things on my keyboard, I was able to access answers around the globe, and it blew me away. Here's the sad part of that, though. With that came a responsibility for me to do my due diligence, which I didn't have a lot of time to do, because a lot of people showed up in that global surge that weren't really who they said they were. They weren't doctors of natural medicines or homeopaths, or they just saw people were making money at this and they had a good idea and they got online and decided, I'm going to make money at this, right?
Interesting. Wow.
It was scary, like to have that. Fortunately, the background that I have with my family, they can help maneuver. Like, that's not real. Ask for their credentials, and so it helped me because at that point, I honestly, if someone told me you need to raise chickens in your backyard and you need to get fresh chicken poop every morning and rub it on your face, and that's going to keep you alive, I'd have done it, right? I would have done anything. It's a horrible feeling to have. I feel so sorry for anyone who's given a diagnosis with a stamp on it. This is your date stamp. I want you to, first of all, don't ask for it and ignore it because they don't know. So for me, I started finding holistic options, right, to help me survive. I now eat. That was, by the way, 12 years ago. And I tell people my stomach didn't grow back. Like, it doesn't grow back. I had a very short, grim outlook, but that was 12 years ago. I still live in the exact same diagnosis that I lived in 12 years ago when they said to me, we have no more help for you. We don't know how to help you. And
So,
I chose to
Jana,
help myself.
I'm not a medical doctor, but what do you mean you don't have a stomach when you say that? Like
I
for
had a radical gastrectomy. My stomach was completely removed,
what do
which
you
is
have
why
then?
I got TPN.
So what do you have? Or what, how do you eat? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out
You
how.
know what? I don't know, and neither do they. I will tell you, things have happened though. I developed Barrett's esophageal, which is precancerous, and so I have to get an endoscopy every year because of eating when I'm not supposed to. But how else would I be here? So yes, I have other things going on. I throw up 10 to 15 times every single day since the day I've had that
Oh,
surgery.
wow. Okay.
I throw up every day. So, but I do keep nutrients down. I do keep liquids down. Um, so I get as much protein and stuff in my liquids as I possibly can, but I still eat now and then. And it
You look
comes
so
with
healthy.
time.
Like I hear the words and I know you're speaking the truth, but I'm looking at you and going, I don't understand because you look so healthy. I know you have grandkids that are adults that have you've enjoyed, I mean, you had a purpose. You said, I'm not dying now. This kid needs to know his nana. So like you're
Right.
incentivized to live a long and fruitful life. And here you are 12 years later. How have you done that? Like really?
I don't honestly, I wish I could say it was the one thing, but I'm going to tell you the one main component of making changes in your life that are like small miracles is your beautiful brain. I tell people every day that the most important thing you need is what is between those two beautiful ears of yours. And when you make that mindset shift, it's not easy. Like I woke up every day feeling like I was going to die. But I told myself, not today, not today.
Hey, beautiful.
Right. I
Not
have
today.
this to do. My brain heard that and it believed it's not today. And I'm not today'd myself through 12 years. And
I'm
so
going to borrow that from now on. If there's something that's negative like, that my brain tells me, I'm like, well, not today. I'm going to start using that. That's actually brilliant.
I mean, you know what? I have a new book coming out in a few weeks. It's called The Yet Factor. And I always tell myself, I haven't done that yet. I'm not, it's kind of like the not today factor too. But I tell my brain these little small shifts and it starts believing it. And what it does is it starts preparing me for that possibility. And so it doesn't start, if I say I'm dying in a week, what happens when that week hits? Your body's like, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to be dying. They've been telling us we're dying, so we shouldn't be feeling good. We should be feeling like this. And it starts to make those adjustments. Our brains are like these fabulous things that whatever we feed it is like typing in the computer and it starts making steps towards that because it doesn't know. We're programming our brain, nobody else. So I really believe in the way we program our brain is the way we live our lives. And I honestly wake up every morning because of that, filled with joy, like so much joy that I'm here, that I have another day to make a memory with my grandkids. Dr. Elia, we're leaving this Wednesday. So in 2 days, I leave to take my grandson to college and move him into his dorms. And we weren't going to miss that because that's what
Ladies
I
and
thought.
gentlemen, I don't know if you heard that right. She's actually taking her grandson to college, not her kids.
No,
Which
my
like,
grandson.
no, it's remarkable to me. It's like, it's unbelievable. Anyway, um, how did you become the editor-in-chief of the Best Holistic Life magazine? How did that come about? And obviously 1.5 million subscribers. The magazine is awesome, by the way. I've read it this month. I happen to be in it, so I appreciate that. Talking about self-care. Um, but you're blessing millions of lives. How did that come about? So you come out of your health crisis, that like really, and then you decide to do what? How did that happen?
I went back to school in my 50s. I wanted to know more about the mind. What I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anything about holistic. I didn't know anything about these things in our brain and how they work. And so I went back to school. And as I went back to school and started getting certifications and I started coaching, and I was doing so well at coaching that I literally booked myself solid for 2 years. Then my grandson asked me to come to a school play, and I'm like, yes, I can't wait. I didn't have any space. It would have been a whole day blocked out. And where am I
Wow.
going to put those people? And then I had to sit down and reevaluate, is this really what I survived for? And so as I backed away from my coaching, they asked me like, well, can you do a newsletter where you're giving us information and feeding us? But I didn't want to. So what I did is I started asking all these incredible people. I was coaching some celebrities and some really massive influencers. And I asked them, like, you guys are kind of genius in what you do. Why don't you give me an article? I'll put it in my newsletter and I'll put a little blurb in there of my own. When I sent out that very first email, I think we had 30 articles. And because my interior design background, I didn't know how to do it in a newsletter. So I created on Canva this little magazine sort of thing that we just added as an attachment. You had to put in your email to get it. And we got like 28,000 subscribers to that
No
little
way.
email. And that, by the way,
Wow.
is the only cover I was on because it wasn't supposed to be a magazine. It was my newsletter. So to this day, it's the only cover I've ever gone on. And so we got 28,000 subscribers. And I'm like, wow, wait, why? And
It goes
so
to show you though that the need, it goes to show you that your message resonated and continues to resonate now in the millions too. It was time for you to do that. You are meant to do this. No doubt about it.
100%, Dr. Elia, I'm definitely living in my purpose. And I feel it every day. Nothing's hard anymore. Even the things that fall apart, the wheel falls off the bus and you got to get it back on. That doesn't even seem like a challenge anymore. It's like, okay, that's awesome. Now we're redirecting. What are we going to do? So for me, it's just joy in the whole process because I know this is my purpose.
How do you how do you find balance between being this incredible mom, grandmother, and editor, and wife, and friend, and leader, and I call you the divine feminine. I think that's how I see you, honestly. How do you do all that and still find time to practice some self-care for Jana?
So my self-care is number one for me. And it wasn't always, I was a mom of four, now a grandmother of seven. And I didn't like, there
You
were
have seven
times.
grandkids. Are you kidding me?
I
Do
have
you really?
seven grandkids, two that are in college now, soon in a
Wow.
day or two. I have a daughter who's 46. So I'm not, I'm not as young
The
as you may
numbers are
think.
not matching how you look. I got to tell you that. I don't know. You look like you're 46. How can you have a daughter that's 40? That's
I
unbelievable.
do have a daughter, 46. She writes for the magazines, so you probably saw her in there. Has a PhD and she is a sleep specialist. So she's pretty fabulous. Having said that, when I feel like when we're out there helping others and doing our purpose, it won't help but grow. You can't stop something that's supposed to be.
Right.
So I feel like it was supposed to be. And the magazine for me is giving other people hope. I remember that feeling of desperation. It's like someone saying, you've been convicted and you got the death sentence, and now you're surrounded and you can see that gas chamber and you're looking for an exit route, right? But there's people all around you pushing you towards that door. And it's the worst feeling in the world, desperation, sadness, and despair. Horrible, horrible feelings. And I chose to not be in that space. I chose to be in a more joyful space. And well, I'm not today, right? And so today is going to be filled with joy. And I literally strung those together for all this time.
What do you do for self-care, like specifically? How do you take care of yourself? You said that's and I agree with you. That's a
100%.
non-negotiable for me too. That's number one on the list, first and foremost. But what do you do?
I have a definite balance between work and personal care and personal life. And there are my work hours, and when I'm done, I'm done. It shuts down. And Wednesdays, for instance, I don't have Wednesday is my whole day for personal care. I know that like when you get
Oh, good for
older,
you. The middle of the week. That's
yeah,
I love that.
whole day. I do whatever I want. I can sit and read a book. I'll go have a facial. It's all about my well-being, my mental health, reading a good book. I found that I've read so many books since this whole transformation for me that we had to open a publishing house. But read so many books, but it was books people sent me, not books that I chose. So
Uh,
Wednesday's my chose book day. And so I really spend a lot of time. Sundays is my heartbeat with my husband. That's the only day that both of us together have nothing. And
I
so
love that.
we spend the entire day together doing whatever it is we're going to do. And if something comes up and one of us can't be present on our Sunday, like it feels bad. It feels bad to say, I'm so sorry. Something life got in the way for this Sunday and you're on your own. But so we try not to make that happen. But I really do a lot for my self-care. I get up an hour early in the morning, an hour earlier than when I know I have to have time to start moving towards my day. And it's all about me setting my intention for the day. Setting an intention is super important. It's a direction I'm pulling my energy in. So I set a direction every day. And I love to meditate. Breath work is incredible. When I learned about breath work, it changed my life. So I practice breath work every day. I still work out with a trainer 4 days a week because otherwise I'll find a reason not to.
I mean, you're talking. So there's several things that happen, and I know our time is actually, believe it or not, wrapping up faster than I wish it would. You, out of necessity and maybe even desperation, you chose to become an expert in your own healing, and you took personal responsibility to find what in whatever source you could, and the results obviously are very telling. Um, what is the one thing that you can tell our audience, like a word of wisdom or a personal philosophy in terms of healing, health, and more importantly, not go through life just surviving but thriving, because you truly are thriving and you're inspiring millions of others, especially women, I think, to thrive even more. So, what is your final statement, if you will? This is like your philosophy or your mission.
There's a lot of people who don't thrive because they don't think they're worthy of thriving. Like they don't deserve happiness. They don't deserve the rewards from their hard work. And a lot of that is somebody else's baggage. So what I would tell you is to really get clear on who you are and what serves you and to release some of that stuff that no longer does. And I use this a lot. I tell people all the time that the people who put that into your mind, it's not your fault, it's not their fault. Honestly, a lot of that was put into our thought pattern because they were trying to keep us safe. And you can't blame someone for doing what they thought was best to keep you safe. But if it pops up in your mind, that loop moves forward, degrading yourself and telling yourself you're not worthy of having a moment to yourself, or self-care is selfish, and that word comes in your head, that comes from somewhere other than you. And I want you to, when it pops in, I want you to redirect it by saying, I deserve to be feeling my best so I can be out in the world doing my best. And I'm taking it regardless. And I want you to just step into that and understand that there's always hope. I was in a position where I felt
There's
there was
always hope. Yes, there's always hope. Never give up.
yeah, I truly believe that my whole mission is to let people know that as long as there's air in your lungs, there is hope for the direction you can go in.
I can't thank you enough, my dear. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, your experience. It's so inspirational. And ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the results, speak for themselves. A grandmother of 7. Wow. So you fulfilled your mission when that little grandchild, when you 12 years ago, you are there and have been and continue to bless your family and your extended family and millions of people across the world. So you're living your mission and it really shows. So again, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. What an incredible lady. What an incredible story too. Like really, she shouldn't have been here for the last dozen years or so. But what I love about her is the ownership that she took. Yes, out of desperation, when the hospital tells you there's nothing else we can do, we can keep you comfortable, but send you home. Know that there's like Jana said, as long as you're breathing, there's hope. So I think the call to action, first of all, it starts with a question: am I in charge of my health? Yes or no, or have I surrendered that to others? That's important for each one of us to answer. But assume then the answer is yes. In today's world, we have access to all kinds of things, different modalities of treatment, different modalities for healing, and so on. If something doesn't feel right, you don't have to follow it. So part of it is, and I think Jana was right, let's get comfortable within ourselves and get curious about our health, get curious about our healing, begin to talk to people that love and support us, and don't surrender all that your power to somebody else. I guess that's my call to action, and that's for me as well for you. Once again, thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week with another amazing guest. Until then, have a wonderful and a happy week. Thank you.